All right, welcome back to our learning session. And to continue what we have discussed last meeting about the utilization of technology, especially how it was being applied into public administration. Now, let's talk about the dimensions of technology that are enabling and not inhibiting. So, again, this is still part of the basics of ICT and how we use that or how we apply this in the public administration. So, before we integrate the concepts of ICT, let's understand first what are the basics. So, one of the basics in the ICT are is this one, no, the topic that I am presenting right now, dimensions of technology that are enabling and not inhibiting. So, enabling and not inhibiting, when we say not inhibiting, hindi nakakahadlang, not hindering to the advancement of the technology and how we use it. So, we have two. First is traditional and contemporary technology. So, when we say traditional technologies, they rely on what is traditional, on what was being used before. They rely on older or manual processes. Manual processes na, ano yun, it's more of the human itself who are doing the or utilizing the technology, while contemporary technology, from the term itself, contemporary, happening right now. So the contemporary technologies, these are normally characterized by digital innovations through advanced science and with an improvement of efficiency and also connectivity. And we know for a fact that right now, the digitalization of technology, what the tools that we are using right now is you know, keep on it keeps on progressing. So what are the examples of this? So there are actually four aspects about this traditional and contemporary technologies. First, of course, we have the household, education, publishing, medicine. So let's try to compare what are those traditional technology that we are using in the household? What are those manual processes that we are using before inside our house? Say, for example, back then we are using this stove, no? It's like that we are using the charcoal, yung diuling na way of pagluluto natin, or not even the charcoal, but the wood itself, no, yung mga wood na puwede ng panggatong, no? And right now, the contemporary technology we are using when it comes to cooking, we have some innovation na hindi na kailangan ng manual processes. We just need electricity, like electrical stove, right? What else? What are those things that we are using? You can think of yourself. No, and compare ano ba yung ginagamit natin before. There are a lot of things that we are using inside the household, including the plancha, yung ironing tool we use for our clothes, for our clothing, right? Before, we were still using the charcoal itself, no, very traditional, para makapagplancha tayo ng maayos. And right now, we are also using no longer the typical electrical ironing for clothes, but we have this so-called steamer, no? And very convenient. We just need water, of course, electricity for us to iron our clothing, right? So there are many tools na ginagamit natin noon, and then dahil nga meron tayong advancement, digitalization of technology, medyo nagiging advanced. And you can think of your own example while you are listening to this learning session. How about in terms of education? In terms of education, very traditional before, we use the mechanical or manual processes of presenting our topics, especially the students when you're assigned to a specific reporting, right? You are using a manual manila paper, and then somebody will post it in front of the class, sa blackboard or sa whiteboard, nakapost yun, nakapaskil, and then everybody will listen to what you are presenting using that Manila paper. Right now, dahil meron tayong digitalization, advancement of technology, we are now using the projector. Actually, before pa ang projector, meron pang isang ginagamit na manual, no? It's very manual. I remember back when I was in high school in elementary, my teachers used to uh, present their learning material through this tool. I remember this is just it looks like a printer scanner wherein kapag ka per slide, it's literally per slide na nagpapalit. So parang when you insert this plastic na merong nakasulat ng learning material and then kapag ka tapatan siya ng ilaw, magfa-flash na siya doon sa board. Then, kapag tapos mo na i-present yon, you will change now that slide to another slide. So, very manual siya. Unlike today, with the use of laptop, personal computer, and then just connected to projector, students, the learners can now easily see the presentation, just like what we're doing right now. So this is also an example of contemporary technology. Before, we were thinking na hindi possible lang online class, but it's possible pala that with the use of MS Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, no, we can do this type of learning session. How about on the third one, publishing? No? Publishing very manual before we are using a mechanical type of how we print our newspaper. Right now, with the advancement of technology, we can easily know the news, right? Using social media platforms. Unlike before, we have to wait for the airing of the news in television or sa radio para malaman natin kung ano na bang ganap, ano na bang balita, ano na bang nangyayari. But right now, with the use of the social media platforms, mabilis na lang, no? Talagang literal na may pakpakang balita because mas mabilis na siyang kumakalat with the use of the social media. Different social media platforms. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other likes ng technology or social media platforms na ginagamit for spreading of information. And lastly, in terms of medicine, so we rely on these older norms before, of course, as Asian or as specifically as Filipinos, before we used to believe with the traditional type of medication or consulting a certain person that is not literally a licensed doctor. So in Filipino language, we used to name them as albularyo, no? And they have their different norms, they have their different way of diagnosing their uh, patients, no? Very traditional. We have this also the tawas pa nga, no? Meron pang different processes for them for them to identify ano bang talagang estado nung kalusugan nung nagpapakonsulta. And some of it, I remember when I was a kid, one of these albularyo na pinuntahan namin, they used to do this tawas, no? Yung may kandila and then also ipapatak dun sa tubig and they will read that one on what is really happening to me. Back then, I remember I was diagnosed that kaya kaya yung binti ko is not properly functioning kapag pinagdikit siya masakit. So instead of consulting a doctor, my parents consult an albularyo. And then we found out there that meron akong natapakan daw na nunok. Kasi takbo ako ng takbo sa school when I was in elementary, when I was in grade school. And dahil takbo ko ng takbo, nakagambala daw ako. And then after that, bumalik naman sa normal yung mga binti ko. And gumaling din naman ako. So very traditional. I don't know if right now marami pang ganun, ano, but based on my students sharing before, they still believe, they still believe or some of their parents are still consulting sa albularyo. So right now, with the use of the contemporary technology in medication, sa mga medicine, dati herbal medicine, we consult to an albularyo, the traditional way. So ngayon, with the use of the different tools, we have right now yung LASIK, we have also the MRI para mabilis na ma-scan yung katawan natin. Um, the technologies that helps us to diagnose what is really happening inside our body. So, mahal nga lang, no? Mahal nga lang pagka test tayo ng mga laboratory test, yan, yung biopsy, what else? These CT scan, yan. So it costs a lot of money and there is still no digital divide pa rin na mag-exist doon lalo na kung hindi afford ng patient na magpakonsulta na may gamit na gano'n. Kailangan ng gano'ng klase ng mga facility for our medication. Now, in terms of medicine, still other people are still believing into herbal medicine. Others prefer the prescripted medicine by the doctor where they take tablet o yung capsule. So, nag-evolve na no, pagdating sa medicine. So, that's how we compare overall the traditional and contemporary technology. So, overall, kapag sinabi natin na traditional technology, it is using manual processes, mechanical, like, example, mga typewriter, analog cameras, yung mga traditional natin, manual meeting, di ba? Wala pang masyadong advanced technology na ginagamit, stone tool. Unlike in contemporary technology, we are now using smartphone. Dati we're just using this keypad um bar phones, yung mga bar phones natin before, the Nokia and other alikes, no? And the digital cameras, no? The digital cameras that we are using right now, the cameras are also meron na rin tayong portable camera using our cell phone, right? The GPS navigation, right? Before we are using the compass. So I hope you get now the point of the difference between traditional and contemporary technology. Okay? Now, if you have question, feel free to consult me about these dimensions of technology for traditional and contemporary technology. Now, let's move forward to the emerging technology. Emerging technologies, of course, our society is changing. Technology is keep on evolving, keep on emerging. So, when we say emerging technology as one of the dimensions of technology that are enabling, specifically in public administration. So this one, examples of what do you call this? Emerging technologies that we are using right now is the AI. Huh? AI, before we have no such thing as AI, everything is manual, but the artificial intelligence are now happening. It is now happening. It is a type of technology that enables machines to learn and also perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. And there are pros and cons of AI. And you know that it is happening already, that it can also replace the human job, the manual jobs that can be done by a certain person. But right now, as we notice now, when you go to the restaurants, people are now using machines. Meron na mga machines na naglilinis, nag-wipe ng floor. Meron na ding kiosk for us to order for us to take our order and then automatic na lang siya transfer doon sa counter and then we'll just pay for it. So, the AI and even in the transactions, now AI is now being used, artificial intelligence also in researches, right? So, with these emerging technology, it can also affect the behavior of people, the behavior of the government, and the way our officials decide for what is better for the nation. So long as we know how to adapt and we know how to utilize these emerging technologies. Because that it can also affect the way we, again, the way we gather data, the way we come up with a particular solution. Because technology can make our life easier, right? So these are the dimensions. So let's move forward to another topic that can contribute to your knowledge management, and that is the data processing. So the data processing, we've been talking about the term data even from the first session of our classes. So the data itself, when we say data processing, what comes to your mind? Try to reflect on this, try to recall what is the meaning of data processing or data processing. So when we say data processing, it is actually an actual conversion of a data into an information that is usable. Kaya siya data processing. So this is how we process data to convert that into an information that we can use na magagamit natin for our decision making. So what are the key concepts that we need to understand when it comes to the data processing? One is data. So when we say data, this is a raw detail, no? Something that was not yet touched. So we just collected the details itself. It's not yet processed. Information, it becomes an information when we start process the data, when we already put a context to a certain data. Data processing, so as what I have discussed earlier, data processing, this is how we convert data into an information. And data collection, so when we say data collection, this is how we gather the data, right? How we gather the data. Because, of course, how can we process a data if we have no raw details on our hands, right? So, one of the basic concepts that we normally hear is the data collection. Now, what about the data organization? So, from the term itself, organization, this is how we structure, how we arrange the data for an efficient and effective storage and retrieval of a data. So, we make sure that it is properly organized, nakasort, naka-arrange siya properly. So, it will not be confusing for us and also to the reader of our data and information. Next, data, we also have data storage. So, when we say data storage, this is how we store the data, how we keep the data securely and reliably, right? Storage. Then, data analysis. Data analysis, how we examine the data, how we analyze, how we identify the trends, how we read the patterns, and how we put insight to it. That is how we define data analysis. Another key concept, data visualization. So when we say data visualization, this is how we represent the data in visual format. Are we presenting the data in through a chart, through graphs that can be easily that is understandable by the reader of your data? Kasi when we visualize the data, let's also remember na nababasa at naintindihan din dapat ito nung titingin ng data. Kasi you as the doer or as the maker of the data, kaya mo intindihan yan kasi ikaw gumawa. But since part of the data processing is how we disseminate it, how we present it to the audience, sa stakeholder, no? Make sure na, look, we also examine the data sa mata ng reader, not sa mata natin as creator. Remember that one. Next, data security. Okay? Data security. So when we say data security, this is how we handle the data with high security. Example, how you put password in it, no? Kasi it secures the data lalo na kung confidential. So we put password in it, making sure that it is not accessible to all. The data is only accessible to a certain person. Kaya importante na mayroong password. And make sure that you remember the password as well. Lastly, another key concept or basic concept in data processing is data privacy. So the data privacy itself is different from data security. Maybe you were wondering, they are the same lang naman. Data security and data privacy. No, it's not. They are not the same. Kasi data security, this refers to how we secure the data, how we put password in it. There are only certain person or people who can access to it. But when we say data privacy, this is in terms of how we handle the data responsibly, reliably, and ethically. Are we following the code of conduct, the way we secure or the way we keep the data itself? Kasi the data privacy, kaya nga siya merong, kaya mag-intertwine kasi itong dalawa, data security and data privacy. So this is data security, this is how you make sure that the data is secure, may password. Pero ang data privacy kasi, um, ethically ba 'to 'no? Kasi if you're not allowed to share the data to other people, then you are violating the code of ethics that this data should be kept in private pero you spread the data to other people na dapat hindi nila malalaman. So that's part of the data processing. We only allow, parang meron ng time restriction na sino lang ba ang dapat may access nito. And this is how we handle the data. That is one of the common causes of conflict sometimes in an organization kasi may mga data tayo na hindi dapat malaman ng iba pero nalalaman just because you disseminate the data itself to other people. So be careful on that. No? Be careful on that. Right? Now, aside from the data processing key concepts, let's also talk about the stages in data processing. Since this is as this these are the stages, definitely we have to follow the specific step-by-step procedure. First step or first stage in data processing is data collection. This is the initial step where data is gathered from various sources, such as the databases, certain person, through survey, external provider, through focus group discussion, interview. So those are how we gather the data, how we collect the data, especially in the research, right? So isa sa mga practices natin when we are doing the research is when is the interview, no? Or we ask for a permission to a certain department if to get this data kasi kailangan para sa study or a tracer study, no? Kaya tayo nag-a-ask ng permission if we can collect this data. But that's the first or initial step in data processing. Next, we also have the data preparation. So after you have gathered all the data, you have to prepare. So once you collected all those raw data, you have to clean it. Clean, format, and transform the data gathered to ensure that it is accurate, consistent, and usable. Why? Common mistake is that when you gather the data, you just keep on collecting the data pero hindi na nililinis. Kasi you have to remember to identify which of this data is usable and not usable. So identify which one is important, which one is not necessary anymore. Kasi it will just ruin your study if you didn't identify which one is not important and important. So that's part of the data preparation. Third stage is the data processing or the data processing. This involves how you analyze, how you apply various operational steps, and also add the algorithm of the data to extract meaningful insights and value from the data gathered. So you perform now the calculation, you identify how many of this and that, and you transform the data into a usable format. Let's say, for example, meron na kayo na-gather from your respondents na um, ito yung age nila, age bracket nila, ito yung sex nila, ito yung employability status nila. So from that, when you start processing the data, there are now some insights being attached to it. So, halimbawa, kinakategorize mo na ngayon from those graduates, example lang, from those graduates of these people from batch, say for example, 2015 to 2018, ilan sa mga may edad na ganito ang may trabaho? Ilan sa age bracket na ito ang walang trabaho? So from that, nagkakaroon na ng context. You're now putting the context into that data kasi there is now application of meaningful. Nag-i-extract na tayo ngayon ng insight from the data gathered. Next, data storage. The data storage, this is now the process data. So after you, the process na natin, how are you going to keep that data? How are you going to store that data for future use? And make sure that what you are keeping are all accurate. No? These are all accurate and concise. So that you can still keep that one for future use or para sa mga future researchers natin. Part of stages in data processing as well is the data retrieval. How we retrieve the data. Example, sa mga researchers, 'di ba, when you want to study something, you look for a recommendation sa isang published na research study. Kasi this is where we can retrieve a certain information, a certain data from that study para ma-continue natin. So, storage, retrieval, then presentation. The data presentation, this is how you present what you have gathered with context already, with an extracted meaningful insight. So you present it in a way that it is not understandable to you alone, but it is making sure that it is understandable to your audience. So this is now how you present the data, how you disseminate the data gathered. And you go back again to the data collection. So that is the data processing stages. Now, how are we going to do this? There are different types of data processing. Number one, we have the manual data processing. Of course, from the term itself, it involves human effort and manual tasks to do the data processing. Of course, it's a human doing the data processing, very manual, very manual. You're not using any other tools. It's just your pen and paper and your brain. Manual data processing, right? Next, we also have mechanical data processing. The mechanical data processing, you use machine from the term mechanical. You use machine and devices to process data. Example, calculator, computer. Yan. So this is an example of mechanical data processing. You use a machine, typewriter, diba? And printing presses. So there are a lot of examples ng mechanical data processes natin. So it's not the pen and paper alone, but you use a certain machine to process the data. Next, EDP or the electronic data processing. So this EDP, another type of data processing, you use electronic devices. You use electronic devices to process your data. Example, your um, Excel, Power BI. Mhm. These are all examples of electronic data processing. The softwares, electronic data processing yun. Then, batch processing. So the data collected, you process it batch by batch at a specific interval. Just like what I've mentioned earlier, halimbawa, you have gathered data according to the age, age bracket, the sex, the status, unemployability status, what else? Um, the profession, no? So if you will process the data batch by batch, you you categorize which one should be processed first. Do we need to process first the age bracket, then the sexes, the employability status, and then you move forward now to another batch. So you can also apply this, which one is important and less important, when you do the batch processing. Also, we have this online data processing. So it might be confusing to you, Mom, what's the difference between online data processing and also electronic data processing? Are they the same? So when we say online data processing, this is with the use of web, wherein your data was being processed using an internet through online processes, online transactions. What else? What are the examples of this? Think of a specific example on your own. What are these um, online web or online data processing? So just to make it simple, online data processing, this is anything that involves or that requires the use of web, the use of internet. So when you scan a barcode, that's already an online data processing. So just remember that one. It requires the use of an internet connection, right? So I hope it makes sense with you with this discussion. I hope you find it still meaningful with the discussion about the dimensions of technology, also the key concepts in data processing, the stages of data processing, and also the types of data processing. All of these are essential to come up with a usable knowledge. Because again, remember, data, information, and knowledge are all connected. We cannot come up with a certain knowledge without this gathered data, right? So I hope you learned something from today's session, and thank you for listening. Bye.